Maned wolves have to be the most beautiful animal in Planet Zoo, and today we actually build for them. Welcome everyone to Hope Harbor Zoo. Well, welcome back to Voice Crack Central, I guess. Welcome back to Hope Harbor, everyone. Hope you guys are all having the most wonderful days. Without further ado, we are getting started on the maned wolf habitat. So this is going to be a very fun one to actually see once it all comes together. Think of it as one habitat that's actually part of a few other habitats. Now, the idea over here, as you can kind of see me playing with it right over there, was to get a kind of like moated effect going. I believe the term is predator-prey habitat, but since maned wolves really aren't predators, specifically for the animals that we have over there, it really isn't a predator-prey, but it's kind of like the same style, if that makes sense. Regardless, we are doing a very beautiful overlook right across our like Guanaco and Rhea habitat, overlooking it, and you can see these guys from all different angles, and it's so awesome. So it was a really fun challenge actually trying to get them to work in this little space over here, as well as making a little bit of a holding building, which I think turned out pretty good in the end. You can actually see me laying out the initial foundation over here, just using some simple plaster pieces. It's kind of the style that I started off with like the entrance. I like having these super detailed kind of like harbor buildings up towards the entrance, and then all the rest of the holding areas more or less are just very simple, and I honestly love them for that, except for the Africa section where it's a lot more stylized, a lot more modern wood is used over there, but we'll talk about that once we actually do get to the lion speed build. Yes, I finally got lions in Hope Harbor Zoo. It only took me about a year to get them. Big shout out for my buddy Forge for that. Now, the maned wolves actually came to be from an event which was based all along animal smells. So it was honestly a really fun challenge just trying to come up with animals that have to do specifically with smell and kind of working with them to kind of, you know, bring them into the zoo and whatnot. In case if you guys are unaware, ZSU is kind of like franchise mode, except it's a lot more personal, and you actually get to build relationships with other zoos, which is my biggest complaint, really, about franchise mode in Planet Zoo. It's really just bleh to me, without knowing that your animals are going to a good facility, without knowing who you're trading with, yada yada yada. Regardless, ZSU expands upon that kind of stuff. It expands upon, like, trading. It expands upon, like, events that happen. So, of course, we have the community challenges, where you're working with other people in franchise mode to kind of, you know, just reach a goal of setting off, you know, so many animals to the wild. It's honestly really unrealistic, and I understand someone might like the farming, quote-unquote, aspect of that kind of game mode, but I oftentimes find myself really loving this kind of, I wouldn't say it's Zoo Tycoon 2 challenge mode, but it's kind of like it, if that makes sense. It's just a really fun project to play with. You guys can sign up. It's not even like a huge time commitment, really. I just make it a huge time commitment because I have so much fun with it. But you could get by with just doing one thing a week, and then you can see your zoo grow. It's really fun like that. But anyways, going back to the community challenges. Instead of release so many animals to the wild, the events in ZSU are just so much more robust. It's so much more educational because you're assigned to work on, let's just say, animal smells, how senses kind of affect animals in the wild and stuff like that. So I was like, maned wolves actually use their smell to mark their territory. Obviously, we all kind of know the fun fact that maned wolves smell like marijuana. That is their piss, actually. So if they urinate, it smells like marijuana, and that's how they know whenever they're in like another maned wolf territory or something like that. I just find that very funny. But I wrote about that kind of stuff, and I also wrote about how that's used in zoos in real life. And then beyond that, I also wrote about butterflies and how they use scent to kind of seek out flowers and stuff like that. And that's how we got the butterflies for the butterfly house, which I should also probably talk about that. I would like to get those species that I also have available as mods. But unfortunately, we still don't have the proper coding yet for butterfly mods. Eventually I do want to work on that with Anaki, but it's not really in the cards right now. He just got back from a huge trip, so I'm just gonna give him some time. But regardless, let's pop back over here to the habitat itself. Keep in mind that ZSU is very realistic when it comes to everything, so you gotta make sure that your animals aren't able to escape. Because of that, I am going to be raising these fences right after this video comes out, because obviously the main wolves can kind of hop these fences. I don't even think they need a hop. Their legs are so damn tall that I feel like they could kind of just like prance out. I don't really know. But I'm kind of continuing the same foliage palette that we had in the South America Plains exhibit, just because I want it to be nice and consistent. And I thought it looked really good too, so I'm kind of just following through with that. And again, I'm decorating the outside of the habitat first. That way I'm able to frame the habitat a lot better, make sure that it feels a little bit more consistent with the area that it's in, and overall it just makes for some pretty cinematics in the end, so I think that's always super helpful. So I'm using a combination of 3 different kinds of rocks. I'm using the normal temperate cladding rocks over here as a way to create these nice dynamic cliff faces. Not really cliff faces, but definitely a lot more rocky areas, if that makes sense. So I'm doing a whole lot of those, just layering them on top of each other, just making sure that it all kind of just flows nicely. And then over that, well, not over that, well, yeah, I guess over that, I'm also using the faux rock pebbles. That way it creates a little bit more of an interesting kind of look over there. That way it's not just all kind of like sharp, jagged edges. You also got some nice rounder rocks in there too. And last but not least, I am also using mods in here. Apologies if you are allergic to them, but I am using NDP's faux rock set in here. I think it's a really, really awesome set that really helps bring your builds to a new dimension. It has this really beautiful texture that really elevates builds to look so much better. I don't know, I really like it. So once we got all the rock work done, I like to go back into foliage mode. So I start off with my smaller pieces first. So I'm using the buffalo grass. I'm keeping it relatively lush, except for a few areas where I actually do use the parched version of that, just to give it a little bit more of color variation, just a little bit of stuff like that to help keep the eyes looking in different parts of the habitat. And because of the Grasslands pack, and because we're about to get new news on the newest DLC, I guess, which would probably already be revealed at this point, I'm assuming that this is going to come out on Tuesday, so I hope you guys enjoy that. Hope you guys enjoy whatever pack it's going to be. What should I say it is? I'm going to say it's going to be Farmlands, because I think that is such a silly theory that it has enough weight in it to work. So if I'm wrong, I want you guys to all make fun of me in the comments down below. Now, I'm also adding these shade structures. These are very inspired off of Zoo Tycoon 2 mods. So there's this one mod in Zoo Tycoon 2. I forget who it's by. It's been like literally 10 years. But it's this just very simple sunshade. And it's a really, really awesome piece. So I was like, you know what? I see a lot of people that have used that for South American builds in Zoo Tycoon 2. I'm going to plop a few of those down throughout here and just make sure it feels a little bit more organic. Also using the eucalyptus tree as kind of like a fallen tree right over there. The enrichment piece specifically, because we can do that with free build. I really just wanted to give it a little bit more dynamic things over there, and I placed down a few branches here and there. These trees are originally by Caesar Creates. I kind of edit them a little bit, just to give them a little bit more dynamicness and have it feel a little bit more funky. Then from there, we actually move on to the holding area again, and I really wanted to have it feel nice and built up. I don't work on the back of it, just don't tell anyone. Don't tell my mom, she'll hate me for not working on the back of this building. I'm kidding, of course, I don't really think she knows I do this to begin with, but but we're actually adding the roof over here. Really, really simple roofing trick to get beautiful roofs that don't really take a lot of time. Obviously, you could use the standard roof pieces. Those are perfectly fine. I use those all the time. But for these holding buildings, I want a very specific look. I want it to feel like it's very industrial. So I use a mix of plaster pieces and the corrugated iron beams from the New World pack specifically. It has a really awesome effect. I believe Zoove, Zoove, was one of the first people to come up with it, or at least he has a blueprint set out. But I've kind of just made it a point for myself to make them by hand. I think it actually is super easy just to be able to do them by hand. And because of that, you're actually able to have a lot more control with it. You're able to have them be however long you want them to be. I kind of fix them up later down the line because you see I don't actually put the girders in right now. I actually do a little bit more work around the habitat and adding some doors, adding a door for the main wolves themselves. I kind of want to fix that little bump out up. I do like that garage door, but I don't really like how those concrete beams kind of just come out of there. I gotta fix that up in a little bit, but I'll probably do that next time I load into the habitat, because going on from here, I think our next project will be the spectacled bears. Either that, or I'm gonna pop over to Moosetown, Maine, because we did get 2 new species, the American black bear and the bobcat, which I would love to build for over there. Island of Color is gonna be taking a little bit of a back seat for now, just because it's pretty much done. We don't really have any other animals to throw in there just yet. I would like to get some more, especially some smaller species, so we could actually get to work on that little tiny house over there. But I digress. We actually do a lot of curb work in here. In case if you guys have not tried it yourselves, curbing, custom curbing specifically, is something that elevates your build so much. I really do suggest you guys start playing with it on an even level. That way you can associate yourself with where to make your turns and stuff like that. And then once you feel a little bit more confident in that, you could elevate yourself literally with different elevations. So you could see I'm using all the axes on there. And of course, I don't really get it perfect. No one can ever get like a build perfect, but I don't know. I just think it's a really, really fun technique to do in your builds that really helps to give it a lot more character and helps it feel a lot more like a real zoo. Because real zoos, some of them just have asphalt and it bleeds into nothing. Some of them have these very precise curbs all over the place, whether they're tiny little stones, whether they're brick, kind of like what we have over here in Old Harbor. It's very interesting to see what these real zoos do. So I suggest you guys try it out a little bit. Maybe do a little bit of recreations of your local zoos. It always is super awesome to see that kind of stuff. I see our friend on the Reddit is always doing the Woodland Park Zoo recreation. That's awesome. I helped Nick out with the Roger Williams Park Zoo recreation, which is currently on hold until they finish up the entrance renovations. But yeah, it's just super awesome just to be able to get your hands in there and start recreating things. That's kind of how I got my stride with Sonora Springs. I was able to recreate so many of my favorite Florida zoos and a lot of the aspects that go along with them. Super fun to do that stuff. Anyways, I do a thatch roof on this little elevated viewing. I only have stairs up here. Those with mobility issues would not be able to access this, but you're not really missing out. It's not different of a view, it's just an alternate view that I wanted. So we have this little section up here where you're actually able to get a top-down view on the main wolves. And yeah, it's just super awesome. I just really felt like it'd be boring if it were just a pit, so I wanted a little something that goes into it, if that makes sense. What I also do is just frame these a little bit better with some railings. I think I want to go back and fix up these railings because I don't think I fixed... Yeah, it's kind of just that, yeah. Yeah, I gotta add some ropes in there or something, or some mesh, just to help keep it a little bit more solid. But you can see I also added that fence in there, and I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'll circle back to you guys on that one, but I hope you guys enjoy the cinematics. This was a super fun build to put together, and I hope you guys are enjoying Season 3 of Hope Harbor Zoo so far. Hope you guys had a wonderful day over here at the channel of Leaf. If you did enjoy it, consider staying for a while. Consider subscribing. It really does help out. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Really do appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.